Hey, look out. It is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
You see that smile on Zoom there? Well, that guy's a legend, and we had an opportunity to sit on the same panel. I don't know why they asked us, Isaac, because we just weren't pretty enough. But you guys on the Christian View, how are you?
Well, I'm doing great, but I don't know about not pretty enough because as you can see, I'm trying to look like you now. I want to be you when I grow up.
We all want to be Rick when we grow up.
Oh, stop it. No, really, stop it. No. Isaac Hernandez is the host of Faith on Film, and he's also on the Christian View from time to time. How often are you on the Christian View? I see you on there quite a bit.
I think I do like 3 out of every 5 shows.
Okay.
All right. And of course we pre-tape them, so I come in once every other month to Atlanta, or used to, because right now I ain't going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
But I would come in and do like 3 of the shows, so 3 out of 5.
Isaac is right there in his film room, and it's in California, so everything is locked down, and that's not only his house, it's his workspace. So for him, leisure is going out, and he's not able to go out. Our prayers with you. I hope this thing is over soon, not only for the folks that are getting sick and passing, obviously, but also for you guys and for the rest of us that are socially isolated. It's quite an adjustment for us.
Yeah. Now, overall, it hasn't been that different to me because I don't, it's not like I'm stuck here where I should have been at work, because I've worked from my house for over 11 years now. So that hasn't really changed that much. But because I work from my house, many times my house didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like my work. So in the evenings or during the weekends, I would love to just, I wanted to just get out, because if I stayed here, I know that, inevitably I would come right back into my office. So we would tend to just always get out of the house, go watch a movie, go have dinner, whatever, we could do out there. And we haven't been able to do that. So that's been the frustrating part for me.
Isaac Hernandez. Isaac, I wanted to ask you, since you are a part of Faith on Film, the host, obviously, and you're, as we see in the background, you see the Kendrick Brothers posters, great stuff there. All right, so everybody's in lockdown. Hollywood, television. I think, was it Cameron Arnett that said that what is still going? Animation is still going.
Animation is big now, yeah, because they can do that.
So since everything's on hold, what's going to happen on the other side of this thing as far as movies? I mean, will there be a hole, a gap, what?
Well, based on just some of the things I've been reading, actually, they feel like it's going to come back pretty strong. Production is going to come back pretty strong. So I don't know that it's necessarily going to have a long-term effect. I'm hoping it's the same thing with churches, where, right now people can't go to church. And I hope that people don't feel like, hey, wait a minute, this is pretty good going to pajama church. I think I'll just stay doing this. So no, I hope things return back to, I guess, what we used to call normal. Hopefully a lot of things don't return to that, but I think filmmaking and really going out to the movies is probably going to go back to the way it used to be.
We're talking with Isaac Hernandez. Isaac, as we jumped on before we started recording here, you were talking with Rick about Throwback Thursdays. Tell us what you're doing with Throwback Thursday with some old Christian music. I love this.
Well, this is one of the positives of this, I call it sequestration, where we're all stuck in our homes. About a year ago, as I was, if you're familiar with Throwback Thursday, where people post pictures of them when they were young and handsome, in my case, maybe just young, but they would post these pictures as a Throwback Thursday. And one day I was looking at one, and I just felt, I'm going to say I felt God speaking to me. I hope your audience will understand what I'm saying here, but I really felt this inspiration to do something different. And what I heard was, why don't you do something, a Throwback Thursday that's a little different? Why don't you post a song instead of a picture of you? Why don't you post a song of music that you grew up with, which is music that is kind of being forgotten. I don't have a problem with new worship. There's something new that should always be happening with us. We're creative people. God made us creative people. But to forget and to throw away, I think, some of those songs from the past, that at least for us older Christians, were part of our foundation. I felt like we needed to not forget those. And God was basically saying, look, just remind people of these songs and do a Throwback Thursday worship chorus edition. So I thought about that, or I felt that inspiration a year ago. And then, you get really busy. So it kind of all disappeared and I forgot all about it. I had done the music, but I hadn't, moved forward. All of a sudden, during this time when we're here in the house, God just brought it back to my memory. And so I decided it's time to do it. And I've been doing it. Today, this past Thursday, I think this program will air on next week, but Thursday, I posted the third one. And you know what? People have really been responding. It's getting a lot of views and people are commenting, thank you for reminding me of when I grew up in church. It's been a lot of fun.
What songs have you done so far?
Okay, let me see if I can remember. Hold on. I've done, today, the one that I just released is, boy, my age is really catching up to me.
I know that feeling.
I Surrender All was the last one.
Uh-huh.
The first one was, I think, hold on here. I promise you I will.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot. I love throwbacks.
Well,
So
I think this is what makes it fun, isn't it? I did Great Is Thy Faithfulness.
Oh yeah.
And I did this one, I think, which got the most response last week because it was a song that I grew up in the old time Pentecostal Spanish church.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle was a pastor, and they used to have testimony time. I don't know if you're all familiar with testimony time. That's when people would just pop up, in during testimony time. Anybody in the audience would pop up and say, "Hey, I want to give a testimony." Sometimes they would want to sing a song. Whether they could sing or not, it was irrelevant. And my grandma was one of those who really couldn't sing, but she loved to sing, and she would always sing this same song, which is "Peace, Peace, Wonderful Peace." So I did a little tribute to her last week and did that song, "Peace, Peace, Wonderful Peace."
Very cool.
Isaac Hernandez on Zoom. You'll see him there in his workspace, and you're listening to him on the radio. You mentioned when we were talking about church in our pajamas. And getting back to I guess it'll be our new normal. It sounds cliche, doesn't it? But on the other side of this, and you are a worshiper at heart. I'm hoping, like you, that folks will go, you know what? I'm not gonna take church meeting together face to face and worship for granted. I'm gonna connect, and I just am hoping and praying that God will use this, that people will just submit and just come together and God just move mightily again in the house and draw people to him. How important is worship? I know to you, but how important is worship for all of us?
Well, I mean, there's, everybody will always say, of course, prayer is the important thing. You take time to pray. But we can't forget worship, because worship to me, and I hope this doesn't sound offensive to anybody, but worship to me is almost like love making. So we're making love to God through our worship, and nothing, I think, touches him more than that. So when you worship, it almost like he just feels like he has to do something. So if you have a need, I say worship. If you're sick, I say worship. I mean, you can always go to one of these, healers and they'll touch me and they'll heal me. No, you can stay at home, worship, and God will take care of this. So worship has always been very important to me. I was a worship leader for 10 years at now it's a big mega church. When we started with 12 people. And it was just me and my piano and just singing some songs, and eventually we grew and grew. I mean, right now it's like every weekend there's about 13,000 people.
Wow.
And I was the worship leader there, and just, it really became something that I love doing. So during this time, I think it's very important. And that's probably why God really inspired me to do these songs. And maybe I thought it was for last year, but maybe he was just preparing me for this year. I don't know. But I think worshiping is one thing. If you can just sit there, if you can't sing, at least put on some worship music, but just fill up your house with worship, so.
All right, it's Isaac Hernandez, and if you're watching on Facebook, you can see the room that he's in that Rick mentioned, a little movie theater. Tell us real quick about that, about what the gatherings that you have there and things that you were able to do there in your studio.
Well, when I first started getting involved in movie making, or not movie making, but in the movie scene, It was when I was at TVN, and I've been with TVN for 25 years, and Mrs. Crouch brought me back in specifically to find movies. And so I was out there searching out movies, and Alex Kendrick was one of the first ones that I actually saw. And I thought, oh, I didn't even know there was such a thing as Christian movies. And so I have just become a really huge fan of him. I love the reason and the purpose he's doing it. There's a great story with this, in that we had picked up the movie Facing the Giants at TVN, had already paid for it and everything. Then they came back to us and said, look, there's an opportunity. Sony wants to release it theatrically, but then they wanted to go to one of their output deals. And the problem is that you already have it. And I remember Paul Crouch Jr. said, Isaac, what do we do? And I said, you know what, we need to give it back, because this is an opportunity that I believe God is putting in front of them, and we can't stand in the way. So we ripped up the contract, basically gave them their money back.
Wow.
Or rather, they gave us their our money back to us. And the rest is history, because from there on, my thought was, we don't know what God's wanting to do, not only for their film, but for Christian films in general. So I'm just a huge fan, and every time they send me the poster, so all of them, except one in the middle, which is a movie I produced, but all the other ones are, of course, Kendrick Brothers movies.
Yeah.
Wow. That's such a cool story. Isaac Hernandez. Isaac, we got to take a break. How can folks follow you and see more of TBTs?
Well, if you go to my Facebook page, Isaac Hernandez, that's where you'll follow all, me personally, and all the TBTs. There's also my show page, which is Faith on Film TV, so they can also look up for that one and like it.
Awesome. Also, you can see him as one of the co-hosts of the Christian View, right here in Atlanta.
Watch the one that Rick and I were on with him. Yes. That's the highest rated one ever, probably, I'm sure.
Yes.
Well, that's what we hope anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, Isaac, we got to have you back on. We got to go to a break. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. It is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Stay there.